Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. It is Tracy coming to you live from New Hampshire Writers Project headquarters. And I am here today to talk about our author holiday showcase, which is running through December 24th. And I am here with one of our featured authors in the showcase, Michael Skinner. How are you, Michael?
I'm well, and thank you for having me here. Hi,
I'm
folks.
glad you could join me. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about your book today and learn a little bit more. So, I think before we jump into it, I would love to learn more about you. I know that you are an author and you're an artist. So, if you could tell us a little bit more about that, and then we'll go into learning more about your book.
I've been writing for a few decades now, so I've had the good fortune to have had three chapters in three separate books that have been published worldwide. Then I actually helped create a workbook that's used in the Washington, D.C. Department of Corrections for helping those incarcerated heal from trauma. So And then I've written articles through the years since the late 90s on the matters of healing from mental health, trauma, and abuse. So that's my writing expertise, but I'm still a newbie in this as far as I'm concerned. But today we're going to be talking about the memoir I've written. But all my life, I've been a professional musician. That's how I made a career. So now I look at, okay, now I got to market and promote a book, just like I used to do with my albums. So it's just
Right.
different, different genre, different medium. But so I'm learning, but I'm excited. So yeah, but so I've had a good career as a musician, and I've also done advocacy and speaking. So I've presented and performed all across this country and as far away as Hawaii a couple of different times.
Wow.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all I've been able to do, and I'm hoping my plan is to replicate that with the book. And when I say that, it's going to take time. I'm not expecting it come. It's going to be a lot of hard work that I have to do. So I'm just going to look at the mindset that I used as a musician when I was younger, how to book gigs, and then when I was representing other bands when I was in the music business, to just try to learn to follow what I did before and just follow any avenue that I can that that I can present the book and talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's a good rule of thought. And I know this is your first book, and I know it's not out yet. It's coming out April 7th. You are accepting pre-orders, and we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. But I love the title, The Lunchbox Theory. I know there's some really interesting nuggets I'm sure you'll share with us there. And it's called Lessons Learned from Trauma and Abuse. And I would love to have you share what this book is about, what the inspiration is behind the book, and let us learn a little bit more about you and this story that you're now sharing with everyone.
Well, the title says it all: lessons learned from trauma and abuse. So childhood and my early teen years, they were horrible. All right. So I'll just cut to the chase. Both of my parents were pedophiles. I was trafficked as a young boy. So that is, so there's a lot of heavy things going on. I've lost two brothers to suicide. My other two siblings they're hurting. So it just had this big impact. But thankfully for music, that's how I found my way, my voice, and being on the road all the time helped to keep me sane, if you will. But eventually that came back to haunt me, and that I ended up with complex PTSD and depression. All that stuff came back. Now, it was never in my mindset to talk about this, Tracy. I did everything I can to suppress it. I did not want to talk about it. So finally, when it came up, I would just start advocating with fellow survivors and organizations. And then they're saying, hey, can you speak here? Can you speak there? And oh, by the way, they want to pay me for something that I did not want to talk about. But it wasn't, I don't go into the gory detail. What I just said to you is that's the extent of what I say. You can connect the dots. I don't have to go into graphic details and all the rest of it. We're all adults. We understand. But that enabled me to travel the country. So the same thing with the book. I did not think to write a book. I'll be honest with you. It's whether I was speaking in a group of 20 or several hundred people coming up to me after, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. You're telling my story. Please. I've had elderly women shaking, my hand and telling me, please, you're telling our story that we were never able to talk about. I've
Wow.
had grown men. I've had, police officers come up to me, Michael, you got to keep doing this. You got to write a book. And so it's actually out. And then my dear friend, Bob Catalano, incredible musician, but I recorded at his recording studio all my 3 albums. From the get-go, he kept saying, Mike, you got to write a book. So I'd go back in, do the next CD. How's the book going? So he's been gently prodding me and several other dear friends. But Tracy, I'll be honest, it wasn't that it came, I got to write this and I got to help change the world. I got to create awareness. It was those around me, because I'm guessing it was my shame and not feeling confident, because I read a lot and there's a lot of great writers. I feel I'm a decent writer, but I was comparing myself to others. And my friends who are brilliant writers would say, Michael, you have a voice. Just tell your story. So that's where the inspiration came from. It was people around me.
Well, yeah. And I mean, you were on a very powerful healing journey, and it sounds like you were helping those around you through that journey. So can you talk a little bit about what this book has done for you as far as healing and just helping others to potentially heal?
I've been at this since 93 in addressing, and actually in the early 80s, going to adult children of alcoholics meetings to address this stuff. Some of the stuff. But this lifted a huge weight off of me. But I'll be honest with you, so anyone writing a memoir, it takes a long time. This has been many years in making, and I shared that in the book. I'd write, I'd have to stop, maybe an hour or two, maybe a day or two, go back to it. But I've been persistent with just keep doing it. And again, with friends helping me to encourage. But it has helped me to heal. It helped me to look at matters I thought I had addressed, and it brought up some things bubbled up, which I didn't like. But I feel even that much lighter having written this. I truly do. And, I'm like, how much more can I get enlightened, if you will? But one of the keys, and that's one of the keys I want to share in this, that I do share in this book. Most folks are stuck in survival mode, one foot in front of the other. We can thrive. And that I also share that. I spoke, obviously I was sexually abused. That's a big impact. But anyone who's grown up in emotional abuse, physical abuse, neglect, racism, that's impacting the same part of the brain and the nervous system and all the rest of it. So what I also share is, please don't minimize your life's experience. And I have resources, because I'm an expert in a sense reading, but I'm sharing the books and the articles from the people that study these things, the doctors, the scientists, the neurologists, et cetera, to help people to heal. That we can heal from this, we do, but to get past the survival mode and learn to thrive. Whatever that means for the individual. Thriving for me, I'm just grateful for the modest home I have. I still do some performances. I'm grateful to do this. I can't do what I once did once upon a time, because it's just not in me, but learning to accept that, be at peace with that. And that's because one of the things, this is huge. Trauma, wherever it comes from, disconnects us from ourselves, our creativity, and from others. So when we address these things, whatever the trauma may be, it's getting us to connect with others, and especially in the creative arena. And as a professional musician, I have said this all my life, is to folks, you don't have to pick up the guitar, the piano, or art or writing to try to make money. Just do it for your own enjoyment. Your crafting, your cooking, all of those are creative. That's going to help you heal. So that is a big theme for me in the book. Yes, I share some dark moments that happened, but the whole key is learning what helped me to heal. And that's the tagline of the book: healing with music, nature, and love. And
I'm curious, Michael, is this book going to be for people who don't necessarily understand what trauma and abuse is about? Or is it, and maybe it's twofold, or is it more for people who have gone through this and are needing a way to heal, needing a resource from an author who understands what they're going through? Is it twofold, or is it one or the other, would you say?
It's twofold. So
Okay.
It's for the survivor, just what I'm sharing, what I've learned from others, those that came before me, and still that I listen to or read or hear them speak on a YouTube presentation. But it's also for the family members, the friends, for the school officials, law enforcement, judiciary, because they're dealing with these folks day in, day out. One of the key things that I stress in this, and I didn't make this up, but this came about 20 some odd years ago, is instead of looking at people, what's wrong with you, to step back and you're not asking them, but thinking, what happened to you? What happened to this person? Why is this person homeless? Why, because it's so easy for society. We blame, shame, and punish. Now, I'm a firm believer, if you do crime, you do the time. But if we address the trauma and abuse in childhood and the neglect, we'll empty the prisons, we'll lower the divorce rate. All that childhood trauma has a direct impact. And you can look at the ACE study, adverse childhood experiences. It leads to heart disease, diabetes, cancer, obesity, drug addiction, alcoholism. So I'm tying these are the lessons that I learned. I didn't know this back in the 80s.
Yep.
I know it now because I became a consultant and a speaker for the National Center for Trauma-Informed Care back in 2010. I've learned so much. I'm like I keep learning on these things. So it's to help the survivor and also those around them and society as a whole to say, hey, we can heal this nightmare. We can. Do I expect that all to happen overnight? No, but I see in several decades, because there's others on a larger platform doing the same thing, and then the people with all the alphabet soup behind their name. So there's some great people out there, and I share those folks. So it's just that there is hope, there's healing, and there's help out there.
Oh, I love it. So we're talking with Michael Skinner today, and he is the author of the Lunchbox Theory, and he's one of our member authors of New Hampshire Writers Project. He is featured in our holiday showcase, along with over 55 other authors who are part of our community. If you see the ticker at the bottom of our screen here, you'll see that we have this showcase running until December 24th, and you can learn all about it at nhwritersproject.org. You can also pre-order Michael's book through the website, and you can learn about all of our other author members too. And now, Michael, I know that your book is not yet available until the 7th. People can pre-order it, but I know at your website you have a ton of wonderful resources. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So at my website, I share resources, and I have to update it because there's more. I also share the Surviving Spirit newsletter. And I'm going to have to take the sip of water here. It's a little dry here. Sorry, folks.
So you can learn about Michael at mskinnermusic.com. Lots of great resources. Michael's going to tell us about it.
So the Surviving Spirit newsletter, I've been sending that out since I learned how to send emails back in the probably mid-90s, late 90s. And I do my level best to send it out once a month, and it's archived for the past 15, almost 20 years. But I share resources on hope, healing, and help. And one of the key components that I share, I'm always looking for authors, musicians, artists, anyone. And again, the trauma it's inclusive. I'm not exclusive. I'm not just focusing on child abuse or mental health. It's whatever is someone dealing with diabetes and how they've learned to navigate their life. There's a good a story, a survivor. That's the key. They're surviving. They've learned how to do things. So I share those resources. There's resources for links to other organizations and other musicians, artists, writers, who also sharing their books. So there's a wealth of information out there, and I just do my level best I'm scratching the surface with some, but through the years, the newsletter, there's a treasure trove of information in there. People just need to go the one I just posted, the November one, and then just go to the archives and just pick away and find, again, take what you like and leave the rest. I don't have all the answers, but I do share resources. I'm a resource junkie in that respect on anything on how folks hope, healing, and help. That's my little three-legged stool. But again, it covers trauma, abuse, and mental health. That covers a wide spectrum.
Well, I was on your website before we, went live here, and yeah, it is definitely a treasure trove. So I highly encourage people to go over there, check it out. You can sign up for his newsletter. You can reach out to him on his contact form. Because Michael, it sounds like your book and you personally, along with your website, you're going to help a lot of people. And I'm really grateful for you having the courage to share what you went through, because I have a feeling you're going to help a lot of people heal with this book.
Well, thank you, Tracy, and thank you for the opportunity. And again, thank you, because you're allowing it to be shared. I love the saying, "Go to where the silence is and say something."
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you for being my guest, Michael. Thank you for all of those people who joined us today. And Michael, before we part ways, is there any other message you want to share with our listeners?
If you've been traumatized, abused, you're dealing with severe mental health injuries, challenges, concerns, whatever it is, you can get through this. You're surviving, but darn it, you can learn to thrive. And don't learn just from me. There's thousands of people out there that you can learn from. And because darn it, you deserve it. You're worth it. So please find the means and the ways to heal the inside of your heart, mind, and body.
I love that, Michael. Well said. Well, thank you again for being my guest today, and go and visit Michael and all of our other author members at nhwritersproject.org and show your love and support for our literary community. Thanks again, everyone. Happy holidays.